All right, we are going to start learning about human body systems, which I always find super fascinating because, this is how your body works. This is how you take care of yourself and stay healthy. It's pretty important, if you ask me. So we're going to start basically at the bones and work our way out. These are just some things you should be able to do by the end of this PowerPoint, be able to explain the functions of the skeletal system. You're going to identify 4 types of joints, list some problems of the skeletal system, and then obviously, hopefully now you can practice some healthful behaviors to keep your skeletal system healthy. What things do we have to ingest to have strong bones? Your skeletal system is a body system made up of bones, joints, and connective tissues. The bones in your body are very much alive. They're not just, like a bike's made out of just like metal. It's holding you up, but they're alive too. So if you don't take care of them, they can become more frail and brittle and easily broken. Each bone is a living organ made of several different tissues. Like other living tissues in your body, the bone tissue is made of cells that take in nutrients and use energy. So you've probably looked at the inside of a cell in science class by now, or you will soon. And everything in the bone is the same as everything else they talk about cells making up your body. Your bones are also made of those cells. Bone cells have the same needs as the other body cells. All the bones in your body, again, make up your skeletal system. It is your framework for your body and has 5 major functions. So these 5 functions should go on your worksheet. Function number 1, the skeleton gives you shape and supports your body. So without your bones, it would be really hard to run, walk, stand, talk, do just about everything. Bones protect your internal organs. So for an example, your rib cage surrounds your heart and your lungs to give them extra protection, and your skull encloses your brain. If we didn't have our skull, every time we hit our head, it would be very problematic. A lot of us would be killed on impact, and a lot of people still are. The skull is, fracturable. You can break through and it can cause permanent damage, but it does help a lot to protect our brain. You have major muscles that are attached to your bones that help them to move. The muscles wouldn't be able to move if they were floating around your body. They have to be attached to the bones to help them move. Your blood cells are formed in the center of many of your bones in the soft tissue called red marrow, which we'll talk about later. But if you ever heard about bone marrow before, that's what we're talking about. And that's where your blood cells are created because your body is constantly creating new blood every single day. And the last function, you have major quantities of calcium and phosphorus that are stored in your bones for later. Calcium and phosphorus make your bones really hard. Obviously, calcium is something that we can get from, dairy products and milk. That's why people always say, drink your milk to make your bones nice and strong. But it can also come from other foods. And same with phosphorus. They're important elements to have in your diet so that your bones are nice and strong. We have a total of 206 bones that make up our skeletal system. I am not going to make you learn them all. There are some at the end that I think you should know that are major ones. But even I don't know all 206 bones anymore. At some point I had to, but there's like at least 30 bones just in your hand, and I do not remember all their names. But just so you know, there is 206 bones. Babies will be born with more bones. If anybody knows why, you actually have more bones in your head, and your skull fuses together later when you're a child, because babies are born out of a very tiny hole in a woman's body, and in order for them to successfully exit the womb, their skull actually has to be able to be squished a little. So if the skull was fully formed in the womb, women would have a very difficult time giving birth. So that is why babies are going to have more bones than an adult. Fun fact for you. A living bone's surface is covered with a tough, tight-fitting membrane called the periosteum. Don't expect you to memorize that, just a fun fact for you. You have really small blood vessels in there that carry nutrients into the bone. Again, your bones are alive, so it wants the calcium and phosphorus, and is creating red blood cells every day. Underneath the periosteum are two very different types of bone tissue. You're going to tell me the difference between these two on your worksheet. There's compact bone, and then there's a spongy bone. And you can already kind of tell by the name what the difference is going to be. So this is your periosteum. That's kind of the outside layer of the bone that you see. Then we have our compact bone, blood vessels, nerves, yellow marrow. We have red bone marrow inside of our spongy bone, which is kind of on the outside. The softer parts of the bone are going to have that in it. So your compact bone is directly under the periosteum, and it's really hard, strong layer. The compact bone gives your bones its strength. Its framework consists on the calcium phosphate that keeps the bone from being too rigid and brittle or easily broken. So that's why it's really important in your diet to get enough calcium and phosphorus. Your spongy bone has many small open spaces so that your bones, while they're still really compact and strong, they also need to be lightweight. Because if you imagine if each bone in our body weighed 5 pounds, because of how strong they were, and then you take 5 times 206, we weigh too much and we can't carry our skeleton anymore. So that's why we have the spongy bone as well. The centers of the bone have cavities that are filled with the marrow, which is the soft tissue in the center of some bones. Not all bones have this. Most of your larger bones will, though. Your yellow marrow is composed of fat cells, and your red marrow produces red blood cells at the rate of 2 to 3 million per second. Lots of blood in your body, lots of cells dying and being reproduced every single day. So again, your spongy bone is going to be the lighter part of it, and then you have the compact outer bone, which is the tough part that makes it hard on the outside, and then we have more light on the inside so that we can still move our skeleton. There's just another look at it for you. You have the yellow marrow in the middle, which is your fat. You have red marrow, which is inside your spongy bone. You have something called cartilage. You've all probably heard of this if you have any sort of joint problem. But the ends of your bones are covered with a smooth, slippery, thick layer of tissue, and that is called your cartilage. It's flexible and important in your joints because it acts as a shock absorber. So it also makes movement easier by reducing the friction that would be caused by your bones rubbing together. Maybe a mom, dad, aunt, uncle has had to have knee or hip replacement. This would be because their cartilage is no longer there. And eventually, the more you use a joint, the more you wear your cartilage out. So people that would experience discomfort sooner than others would be people that are really athletic, work out more. Professional athletes are gonna see this reduce a lot faster. Cartilage can be damaged also by disease or injury and overusing it. So if you exercise, which exercise is good for you, but if you go, and you don't take that all important rest day, or, you're supposed to work out one muscle each day or muscle group and not do the same muscle group each day to give it like a rest, then your cartilage can be damaged and it doesn't regrow. It's something that you would have to go and see a doctor about. So if you're having discomfort in your joints, it could be a cartilage thing. And we'll talk about the diseases later, but this is where a lot of people will talk about arthritis and osteoarthritis and other things like that. And that's just something that also usually happens with age, but anybody can get it. You have other connective tissues in your bodies, and you've probably heard of someone tearing or pulling a tendon or a ligament. Tendons are tough bands of tissue that attach your muscles to your bones, and ligaments are cord-like tissues that connect the bones in each joint. So bones to other bones. So tendons connect your muscles to your bones, and ligaments are connecting your bones to your other bones. So if you've ever had discomfort in a joint or sprained or strained an ankle or a wrist or an elbow or your knee, you probably just pulled on and stretched one of these two things a little too much and it caused discomfort. We definitely want to then rest the hurt ligament or tendons, or both in some cases, and, let them heal and work to get back to where they were, because if we keep overstretching, it's going to hurt and we could tear them. And that's when you need surgery. So when you hear people like tearing their ACL, that's what this is. And that just means that it completely snapped and broke in half, and they had to go in and reconnect it or take another part, another tendon or ligament, and replace it, because it is impossible to walk without your ACL and MCL.